I want to start this deep dive by asking you, the listener, a very direct question. And I really want you to be completely honest with yourself as you think about the answer.
Yeah, take a second and really think about this one.
Right. So how many people did you actually talk to today? And I don't mean a quick text. I mean a real verbal, real-time exchange.
Like, was it just the barista who handed you your coffee this morning?
Exactly. Or, maybe a roommate or a partner for 10 seconds on your way out the door. Now, contrast that number with this next question.
This is where it gets interesting.
How many people did you interact with online today?
Because when you really sit down and count the likes you handed out, the direct messages you fired off, the emojis you dropped into group chats, I mean, the number just skyrockets.
It's massive. For a lot of people listening to this right now, that second number is probably in the dozens, if not the hundreds.
Easily hundreds.
Hundreds of micro-interactions just constantly pinging throughout the day. I mean, you are more connected than any human being in the history of our species.
We literally have satellites in space dedicated to ensuring you never lose the ability to send a meme to a friend.
Right. Yet statistically, you have never been lonelier. So today, we are figuring out why. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because this modern paradox, record-breaking connectivity alongside record-breaking isolation, it isn't just a general societal mood or some fleeting feeling.
No, not at all. The data we are looking at today categorizes this as a full-blown public health crisis.
A public health crisis, which is wild.
It is, and the scale of the problem really forces us to look past our assumptions about what loneliness actually is.
Because we usually think of it as like a temporary emotional state, right?
Yeah.
Like feeling a little sad on a rainy Sunday.
Exactly. But the research paints a much, much darker picture. Loneliness has been climbing steadily for decades across all demographics.
To the point where the United States Surgeon General officially classified it as an epidemic.
An epidemic. Let that sink in.
It's crazy because the word epidemic usually brings to mind, infectious diseases or viral outbreaks. It sounds very clinical.
Right, but applying it to loneliness completely shifts the paradigm. We are talking about severe physical consequences here.
And the data points out a staggering metric that really stood out to me. The health risk of prolonged loneliness is comparable to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
A pack a day?
Wait, seriously? Like a literal pack a day?
Yes, and that isn't just some dramatic metaphor designed to scare people. There is a deeply ingrained biological mechanism at work here.
Okay, walk me through that.
Yeah.
How does feeling lonely equal smoking?
Well, our brains evolved in small, close-knit tribes, right? For early humans, isolation meant a literal death sentence.
Oh, because if you were separated from the tribe, you were vulnerable to predators.
Predators, starvation, you name it. So the human brain evolved to interpret social isolation as a mortal threat.
Wow. So it's literally sounding an alarm.
Exactly. When you are chronically lonely, your nervous system is thrown into a permanent state of hyperarousal.
Like a fight or flight mode that just never turns off.
Right. Your body continuously pumps out cortisol and other stress hormones, which leads to systemic inflammation.
Ah, and inflammation is the killer.
It is. Over time, that inflammation damages your blood vessels, raises your blood pressure, and degrades your immune system.
In almost the exact same way that inhaling toxic smoke does.
Exactly the same way.
That makes perfect sense evolutionarily. I mean, the brain is basically telling you to get back to the safety of the campfire.
Get back to the tribe.
But this is where my brain gets stuck and where the modern experience just seems to break that evolutionary logic.
How so?
Well, if I am sitting on my couch and my phone is buzzing with hundreds of interactions, like if I'm firing off a DM or leaving a comment on a friend's post.
Right, you feel connected.
Yeah. If I'm in a group chat that is endlessly active, how is my brain still interpreting a mortal threat?
It's a great question.
Because my digital campfire is huge. How can I possibly be starving for connection when the buffet is just always open?
So the confusion comes down to a crucial distinction between two fundamentally different concepts: contact and connection.
Contact and connection.
Yes. We have been culturally conditioned to treat them as the exact same thing. But chemically and psychologically, they are worlds apart.
Okay, so define contacts for me.
Liking a friend's vacation photo or sending a quick text is contact. It is a transaction.
A transaction, like swiping a credit card.
Structurally, that is all it is.
Okay.
In that moment of a like, you are simply registering that a person exists.
And they get a notification that registers I noticed them.
Right. Both parties are acknowledged. but there's absolutely no depth.
Because there's no real-time vulnerability.
Exactly. There is no shared emotional space. There's no eye contact. Connection requires entirely different ingredients.
I was actually thinking about this when looking through the research, and this analogy came to mind that perfectly captures the feeling.
Oh, the diet soda one.
Yes, relying on social media for human connection feels exactly like drinking diet soda when you were dehydrated.
It's such a perfect comparison.
You are parched, you drink the diet soda, and it tricks your senses, right? It tastes sweet. The carbonation mimics the sensation of quenching your thirst.
But it doesn't actually hydrate your cells.
Exactly. You are full, but you are still dying of thirst.
And that maps perfectly onto the neurochemistry of what is happening in our brains.
How so?
Well, when you scroll through a feed and get a like, where you fire off a quick message, your brain gets a tiny hit of dopamine.
The reward chemical.
Right. Dopamine is a neuromodulator associated with seeking behavior and reward anticipation. It gives you a fast, cheap thrill.
Which artificially mimics the feeling of social engagement.
Exactly. But it doesn't deliver the deeper neurochemicals like oxytocin or serotonin that are actually released during real-time, face-to-face interactions.
And those are the ones that provide actual satiation and trust, right?
Precisely. Dopamine makes you want more, but oxytocin makes you feel safe.
Oh, wow. So we are getting trapped in this loop of seeking without ever actually feeling safe.
We're constantly chasing the next hit.
But if contact isn't connection, what is the specific missing ingredient? Like if we are doing all this digital transacting and still feeling completely empty,
What are we avoiding?
yeah, what are we avoiding that we actually need?
We are avoiding friction, and specifically, we are avoiding the concept of interpersonal risk.
Wait, friction.
Yeah. Human beings bond through friction. We build trust through vulnerability, and vulnerability inherently requires the very real possibility of things not going smoothly.
That feels incredibly counterintuitive. I mean, we spend our entire lives trying to eliminate friction.
We do.
We want frictionless payments, frictionless travel, one-click delivery. The whole promise of technology is to make life smoother.
Sure.
Why on earth would we want friction in our relationships?
Because without resistance, you can't build strength. Think of it like building muscle.
Okay.
You cannot build muscle by lifting air, right? You need the physical friction of weights.
Oh, I see.
Social friction is the resistance required to build the muscle of intimacy.
What does that look like in practice, though?
Friction is the awkward silence in a conversation where you both have to figure out what to say next.
Oh, man. I hate those.
We all do. But it's also the micro expressions on your face when someone shares something deeply personal and you have to react in real time without a script.
You can't just type out a response and edit it.
Exactly. It's the act of being seen by another person when your life isn't perfectly curated. That friction carries the risk of rejection.
The risk of a messy interaction, or just that someone might not entirely agree with you.
Right. And social media is an absolute masterpiece of engineering designed to conveniently remove every single ounce of that risk.
It really is. You control the lighting in the photo. You spend 10 minutes drafting the perfect, witty caption.
You don't have to read the other person's facial expressions to see if your joke landed.
And if you say something you regret, you have the ultimate safety net, right? The delete button.
The delete button. You never have to sit in the discomfort of a misspoken word.
So you are engaging in a simulation of socializing with all the interpersonal risk entirely sanded off.
Perfectly sanded off. And because your brain gets that temporary dopamine hit from the simulation, it kills the urgency to go out and find the real thing.
Why would you put on hard pants, leave your house, and risk the immense awkwardness of an unpredictable in-person interaction?
Exactly. Why bother when you can get a cheap imitation from the safety of your couch?
But wait, honestly, I'm thinking about this, and some of my closest friends are people I mostly talk to on WhatsApp or through audio notes because we live in different states.
Sure, that's super common.
Are we saying those digital relationships are totally invalid?
No, not invalid at all. But those relationships are almost certainly surviving on the foundation of past in-person friction.
Oh, like we did the hard work early on.
Right. You likely built the trust offline or through incredibly vulnerable, high-friction conversations in the beginning.
That makes sense.
The danger arises when we try to build the foundation entirely in a frictionless digital environment.
Or when we replace our local daily social diet entirely with long-distance digital maintenance.
Yes. The psychology of vulnerability tells us that risk is not a bug in human interaction that needs to be engineered away.
Risk is the essential feature.
Without the risk of awkwardness or rejection, there is no trust. Without trust, there is no real connection.
The risk is the feature, not the bug. That completely flips how we view our daily interactions.
It really does.
But, dopamine from a screen only explains half the problem.
Yeah.
Even if we all collectively decided to put our phones down tomorrow and seek out that friction.
The world is different now.
Right. The physical world we walk out into doesn't look the way it used to. We have to look at the structural collapse of community.
Yes, we do.
Has the literal geography of how we live our lives fundamentally changed?
Radically. I mean, if we focus purely on smartphones, we ignore a massive piece of the structural puzzle.
Okay, break that down.
Historically speaking, human beings knew their neighbors because they were forced to.
Uh,
Your community was dictated by your geography.
you lived in a small town. You walked to the same local market.
Right. You saw the same 5 people every single week, whether you wanted to or not.
You're geographically logged in.
And because you had fewer options, you had to develop the specific skill of getting along with the people immediately surrounding you.
You learned to navigate differences, tolerate annoyances, and build mutual reliance.
Exactly. But modern mobility has completely dismantled that natural forced community.
People move across the country for jobs every few years.
Yeah.
Extended families are spread out across multiple time zones.
The whole structure is gone.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here. Isn't this massive mobility actually a huge upgrade for human happiness?
In many ways, yes.
Because historically, if you were a misfit in a tiny town, or if you held different values than your neighbors, you were trapped in a truly oppressive environment.
That's a very fair point.
Now, you can opt out. You can move to a city that matches your lifestyle. You can find your specific niche of people.
True?
It's just math. Right. We have millions more options now, which should theoretically mean a much higher chance of finding genuine connection.
Look, choice is unequivocally a good thing, and the ability to leave an oppressive environment is a hallmark of modern progress. Nobody is arguing we should return to a time when you couldn't escape a toxic hometown.
Okay,
But the hidden cost of infinite choice is the loss of default, built-in structure.
Default structure.
In the past, friendship and connection were built seamlessly into the daily rhythms of our lives. It was your school, it was the local sports league, it was your religious institution, or just the neighborhood block.
You didn't have to consciously think about making friends.
No, it just happened as a byproduct of sheer repetition. You kept showing up to the same physical places, enduring the friction of mundane interactions, and eventually a bond formed.
So when you remove those natural geographic structures, like when you move to a new city for a remote job and work from your apartment, you no longer have default collisions with other humans.
Exactly. You now have to choose connection intentionally.
And choosing connection intentionally requires a very specific skill set, doesn't it?
A huge skill set. Reaching out, risking rejection, planning logistics, initiating vulnerability.
Which is exhausting.
And most of us simply do not have that skill set because we were never forced to learn it.
This brings us to what might be the most alarming data point in the research. When structural community disappears and when socializing suddenly requires this intentional, awkward, risky effort.
One specific demographic is bearing the absolute brunt of the crisis.
We are seeing an unprecedented rise in loneliness among young men.
The statistics are incredibly stark here. Loneliness is rising faster among young men than any other demographic group.
Even though they are simultaneously the most online generation in history.
Yes, yet they are statistically the least likely to have a close friend they can call at 2 a.m. in a crisis.
Think about the profound psychological weight of that. Not having a single person in your life you can depend on in an emergency.
It's terrifying, and it points to a very specific structural void.
When you're young, you get a syllabus for friendship.
Yeah.
You have recess, you have group projects, you have college dorms. The structure forces you together.
But as one researcher put it, nobody gives you a syllabus on how to make a friend at 32.
That quote really stuck with me. Nobody gives you a syllabus.
And that lack of a syllabus hits young men uniquely hard because of how male friendships have historically formed.
How so?
Well, sociological studies consistently show that while women often bond face-to-face through conversation and direct emotional sharing, men have traditionally bonded shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, interesting. Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, they bond through structured, shared activities. Working on a car, playing in a physical sports league, or engaging in manual labor together.
So the vulnerability comes sideways during the downtime of a shared task.
Exactly. But those structured shoulder-to-shoulder physical spaces are exactly what has vanished in the modern remote work, highly transient era.
Which leaves them completely adrift.
Yes. When young men graduate, enter a highly digitized workforce, and lose that invisible architecture of forced proximity, they don't have the tools to pivot to face-to-face conversation-based bonding.
So what do they do?
They retreat to the hyper-online spaces that mimic shoulder-to-shoulder activity, multiplayer gaming, Discord servers, or online forums.
They go back to the digital diet soda.
Exactly. They get the dopamine hit of a shared digital objective, but it lacks the real-world stakes and the physical friction required to build a resilient safety net.
They end up profoundly isolated but heavily stimulated.
Rebuilding a social safety net from scratch requires taking immense interpersonal risks, facing the awkwardness of asking another guy to hang out without a predefined activity.
Consciously choosing friction.
Yes, and it is a hurdle many are simply unequipped to jump.
So we've mapped out the modern traps here. We've explored the biological toll of loneliness, the illusion of digital connection, the psychological need for risk.
And the structural collapse leaving young men totally isolated.
Right. Now we need to look at the roadmap out. What is the actual fix for an epidemic of this scale?
Well, the good news is that the solution doesn't require a massive, dramatic lifestyle overhaul.
We don't have to throw our smartphones into the ocean.
No, you don't have to go live off the grid in a cabin. The technology is here to stay, and it has incredible utilities.
Okay, good.
The fix starts internally by deeply recognizing the difference between contact and connection in your own daily life.
Once you see the transaction for what it is, once you realize that sending a meme is contact, not connection,
Yeah,
you have to start intentionally choosing the harder, riskier option.
exactly. The research points to incredibly practical yet surprisingly daunting behavioral shifts.
For example,
Calling someone instead of texting them. Actually showing up in person instead of just RSVPing maybe to an event and then bailing at the last minute because you feel tired.
it's about consciously deciding to trade the curated highlight reel for the messy reality. But, I mean, as I list those things out, calling instead of texting, showing up, being uncurated, it all sounds incredibly uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
To fix this, are we basically just having to force ourselves to be awkward on purpose?
Yes, that is the fundamental cure.
Wow.
It sounds almost too simple, but it is deeply true. The awkwardness is exactly where the real substance of human relationship lives. We have to resensitize ourselves to friction.
We have to practice sitting in the awkward silence on a phone call instead of quickly sending a perfect emoji to end the interaction.
We have to embrace the fact that we might say the wrong thing or that a joke might fall flat or that an evening out might just be boring.
Embracing that friction is the only bridge from a shallow digital transaction to a meaningful, hydrating human relationship.
We literally have to retrain our neural pathways to tolerate the discomfort of being truly seen by another person.
Let's bring this all together. Today, we've explored the deep irony of our time. Why, being the most technically connected society, has left our biology sounding the alarm of isolation,
We've learned that authentic connection absolutely requires risk.
whereas our screens offer a seductive, risk-free illusion. We've seen how digital contact is the diet soda of human interaction.
Giving us a dopamine hit of sweetness while leaving our fundamental need for trust entirely parched.
And we've seen how the loss of our default physical communities, particularly for young men, means we can no longer afford to be passive.
We have to actively build our social safety nets rather than waiting for geography to do it for us.
That intentional effort is the highest hurdle we face, especially for those who feel they've aged out of the structured, friendship-making phases of life.
It requires stepping out of the comfort zone of digital curation and into the messy arena of real-time human behavior.
So I want to leave you with a direct challenge today. Think about the last time you called someone just to talk,
Not to ask a quick logistics question.
not to complain about work, but with absolutely no agenda, just to hear their voice, see where the conversation goes, and risk the awkward pauses. We encourage you to make that call today.
Lean into the discomfort. Let there be friction.
It is the only way to genuinely quench that fundamental human thirst for belonging. But I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Something that builds on everything we've discussed.
Right. Regarding our retreat into risk-free digital spaces. Empathy is a biological skill learned through mirroring and reading microexpressions.
Real-time, uncurated expressions.
Exactly. So if we continue to outsource our daily social interactions to curated screens, what happens to our collective human empathy?
When an entire generation loses the daily, repetitive practice of reading a stranger's uncurated facial expressions in real time.
What happens then? It raises a profound question about the future of how we will understand one another on a basic biological level. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, audit your digital diet, and remember to purposefully embrace the awkwardness.
It might just be the very thing that saves you.